We are back. This is SamMeeBee. We got Danny Stone, and we are
Gem City
Sports. All
Boom.
right, welcome. Let's start easy. The week that was, you saw Oppenheimer, and what else did you see this week?
I did. I saw that last weekend. I thought it was great. Funny you asked this, and this is not scripted. I watched this film called Rumblefish last night. I was up kind of late, and I watched Rumblefish. It's a Francis Ford Coppola directs it. It's got Mickey Rourke, Matt Dillon, to name a few. Rumblefish, I'm telling you, people are sleeping on it. Is it a great movie? I don't know if I'd say that. Is there great acting and great directing? I would say that.
I can't say I've heard of that movie.
Based on a book. It's a book.
On a book. Okay. I saw the Barbie movie, which I think you saw as well, and I saw Talk to Me. Great movie. Unfortunately, I didn't know the name. I kept messing it up. I was telling my friends, "Hey, come see this movie. Take my hand. Come with me." Everyone's like, "What are you saying to me?" I'm like, I had the name wrong, but it was Talk to Me.
If you would have texted me, "Take my hand," and I literally Googled it, and I was like, "What is this movie?" Because there was a couple different variations of what I thought you were trying to see. If you would have, we have not talked about this. If you would have texted "Talk to Me," I'm not saying I would have made it out because I believe I had plans or I was in the middle of doing something, but I would have been more inclined than the typo that you sent me, which was "Take My Hand" or "Hold My Hand." I googled "Take My Hand" and there was two movies, "Hold My Hand," "Take My Hand," and they both came out years ago.
So I was in the wrong.
It's all good. So I don't mean to get hung up on it, everybody. That was really something. I do want to see Talk to Me, and I wish you would have texted me the right name of the movie. Not saying I would have gone that day, but I would have been more inclined.
And as you can see, I'm rocking the Erie pepperoni balls. We are recording today, Saturday, August 5th.
This shirt says Lafwehi.
Oh, I love it.
Excuse me, sorry.
Pepperoni balls this weekend. I love the promotions they do. We are from Erie, we'll say that. That's where Gem City comes from.
I want to get a hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
His shirt is righteous. I want to get the hoodie.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with like the sunlight, the way the sun sets.
Yeah.
It's Gem City. So yeah, that's where you get Gem City Sports, episode 3. Now you learned, and now you can know that forever. So
we'll never say that again.
Yeah, we're still learning. The week that was in sports, though, was the trade deadline. Not pretty quiet weekend in my opinion. Only two big names that came to mind. Justin Verlander back with Houston, 40-year-old, so could be nearing the end. And then Max Scherzer going to Texas. Any thoughts on those two?
I'll say this right now, and I said it last episode. I'm a San Francisco Giants fan. I don't have my hoodie on right now, but it's here in the room. Best believe it. We're undefeated since trading for A.J. Pollock. A lot of people are like, what are they doing getting A.J. Pollock? I get it, but I'm telling you, we're undefeated since we traded for him. Facts.
Interesting. I didn't even know that.
That's fun fact. But beyond that, I think the Astros are going to win the World Series again. I find it incredibly frustrating that the rich get richer sometimes. In this case, the Astros are getting richer. You know Verlander's going to be great. Scherzer, I guess so far, he had a start or two with the Rangers. Not off to a great start, but I assume he'll turn it around. They'll figure it out. I bet they're going to, actually the Rangers play the Giants this week, and I bet they get hot. We play the A's this weekend, and then I think we flip to the Rangers series. Bruce Bochy's the manager of the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
3 rings with the Giants. There's a lot going on between the Rangers-Giants series, in my opinion.
The Rangers have been great. I think they were leading that division, so that's pretty cool. I mean, I kind of want to see Verlander versus Scherzer in the playoffs. You know, I kind of hope that happened. But
they're not my teams, but you're right.
Yeah.
That would be a fun matchup. It would be worth watching. I'll throw this out there too, and we may have talked about this last episode or off record. The Rangers signed DeGrom, and he's supposed to be the ace. They lose him, and this team is still finding ways to not only win but be one of the best teams in baseball. I mean, it is something to watch.
Yeah, and I, growing up, I spent my summers in Texas, so I went to the old stadium a lot, so I haven't been to too many baseball stadiums. Maybe we can talk about in a future episode, recap what stadiums we've been to.
That would be a blast.
I mean, unless you can name, I'm trying to think off the top of my head for baseball, I know, obviously, Pittsburgh, Cleveland's near us. I've been to Atlanta once, the new one.
Yep.
And then Texas, so 4 stadiums.
I've been to Cleveland, Pittsburgh, like you said, of course, it's near us. Chicago, San Diego. And I feel like there's 1 or 2 that I'm missing, but I might be lying to your face. I may have just gone to Pittsburgh and Cleveland a lot.
Actually, let's keep it going. Football. Let's see. I've been to Bills, Steelers, Cleveland.
I've been to Bills for a preseason game against the Rams, actually. So I've seen like Marshall Faulk and Warner, but it was a preseason game. But I've seen them in person. I was a young kid.
Most of mine were Stafford, or not Stafford. Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford. What could have been. I'll tell you what, I was thinking about this the other day. I probably think about it more than I care to admit. I think if Sam Bradford stays healthy, I mean, that was Jeff Fisher's plan. People want to hate on Jeff Fisher. I'm not saying Jeff Fisher should be there. Obviously, Sean McVay's taken this team to newer and greater heights, and I mean no disrespect to Jeff Fisher, because what I'm trying to do is say his quarterback kept getting hurt, and if Sam Bradford stayed healthy, I really think he could have had a career in this league. And the amazing thing is he got hurt every year, and he still had quite a career in this league financially. I mean, teams would pay this guy because he had all the talent in the world. He just could not stay healthy.
He did play a few teams. I think I zoomed in too close. I think I had to move the mic down a little bit.
Oh,
My
sorry.
bad. That was me. Perfect. All right. Look at that.
I think his
beautiful
last
face.
team was the Cardinals, the Rams' own division rival. I think his last team
he
was
went
here.
to swap with Philly for Nick Foles,
Yep.
and then he went to Minnesota.
Huge contract. I think it was like 2 years, all guaranteed for like $40 million or something like that. If I'm wrong,
he made a lot of. I think he made a lot of money for someone who didn't.
He's the final first-round pick before they changed the rules.
That's right.
So he gets like $100 million first-round pick, because it used to be, pay me. And now they've kind of regulated it quite a bit more as far as the finances go in drafting.
And speaking of the money, going back to Max Scherzer, I think I saw he's the first player to be paid by 3 different teams. Like it's $15 million or something like that. He's been paid by Nationals, the Mets, and I guess now his new team, the Rangers. So he's being paid
all
by
at the same time.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
He's still being paid from the Nationals, so he's making money from 3 different teams.
You know what? I'll tell you this about the Nationals, and I don't know how much fun you had watching it, but I loved their postseason ride. I think this would have been 2017, and if I'm wrong, again, I apologize. It might have been 2018. Their win to the World Series. You know what? I think it was 19, because I was watching it. I believe I had my home at that point, so 2019. Either way, I digress. The Nationals won the World Series not that long ago. Juan Soto, Max Scherzer, Bryce Harper signed with the Phillies
that year. I felt bad for him.
We all do. But I tell you what, people can talk and hate. I have a soft spot for the Nationals, having gone to college in the D.C. area. Not D.C. itself, but very near there. And I am a big Nationals fan. I would say I enjoy the Nationals. And Max Scherzer, as far as I'm concerned, he's a bona fide Hall of Famer. He's a made man. I've got nothing but the utmost respect for the guy.
And it's a random thing, being a Giants fan. Do you see that Slade, was it Sassoni? He got his first strikeout. It hit the bunt, the end of the bat.
No.
Man, you should pull out the play. Yeah.
I was going to say, someday we'll be able to pull these up.
Yeah, he's a rookie, and he throws a pitch inside to Wade Lamont, whatever his name is, and it hits the end of his bat. Hits like the catcher.
I did see that.
Yeah, it hits the catcher in the nuts, and he catches it, and that's considered a strikeout.
Yes.
It was a foul tip strikeout. So
I did see this.
I just like looking up random things from the week that was.
I'm not making things up. I know exactly the play that you're talking about. It was a goofy play. Lamont Wade, to his credit, goes to first thinking he got hit by the pitch, and then sure enough, if you actually watch it, he walks back to the home plate because he's thinking it's going to be a foul tip, but he ends up walking to the dugout after that because it's a strikeout. I'll say this too, if I'm not mistaken. Speaking of the San Francisco Giants, I got to plug him. I love it. Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, in 2012, Giants beat them in the World Series. They were with Detroit. I believe they were both on the Detroit pit, and that was the whole deal. It was like, Detroit's going to beat the Giants. They've got Scherzer, Verlander, and the Giants said, no, you're not. We've got Pablo Sandoval. Say what you want about him, but he was hot in 2012. He was hot that series. And in 2010, Giants beat the Rangers for their first World Series.
That is true. And speaking of hot,
let's get into it.
Houston's been doing good, and it's hot down there. And Framber Valdez, congrats on the no-hitter this week.
That was exciting.
What I thought was cool is the catcher, Martin Maldonado. Man, I should practice these names. His third no-hitter he caught.
No kidding.
Yeah, tied for second place. I think there's 2 players that 4 no-hitters caught. Buster Posey, plugged for the Giants. I think he's one of them. Then there's like a whole bunch, like 10 tied with 3. So there's a lot of players with 3 no-hitters caught, but I think only 2 with 4. So
and Buster's one of them with 4. That's right. Because he's got a perfect game with Matt Cain, so that would count as a no-hit. I believe that would fall in the
other one was
category.
The Phillies guy, because he had 2 with Roy Halladay.
Real Muto?
Yeah. No.
Guy before him.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Because he played with Roy Halladay. That guy, because Halladay had a no-hitter.
Doc Halladay.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, no, his name was Roy.
Yeah.
I'm just doing
the Doc is in, right?
R.I.P. I mean, I'll tell you this, and I don't give it enough credit, and I'm really glad you're bringing this up. When no-hitters and perfect games happen, or shutouts happen, all the praise goes to the pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And we really should take a moment. Like, the catcher should probably be listed too, or if they split it up, because the Giants have been like using Sabal for 3 or 4 innings, and they'll bring in Patrick Bailey, or they'll start with Patrick Bailey and bring in Blake Sabal. So they're kind of doing some interesting, borderline goofy things with the rotation, but it's working. But that being said, when you've got a no-hitter, a shutout, a perfect game, whatever, we probably don't give enough credit to the catcher. I mean, it really is a two-man thing out there.
Yeah, and some pitchers have a preferred catcher. I don't know if you knew. So
100%.
Garrett Cole with the Yankees.
Yeah.
When they had Gary Sanchez, he preferred Higoshiota. I can't even say his name. So he'd pitch to him instead of Gary Sanchez. So some pitchers have a preferred catcher, which is interesting.
There's rumors, I don't know if this is true, but Tim Lincecum of the Giants, when Buster Posey came up, Buster Posey's a little bit... I don't know them, and I want to say this with a bit of a grain of salt. I don't exactly know what I'm talking about, but I guess I'll get right to it. Buster Posey's very formal, very regimented. I think Tim Lincecum, as we can all imagine, a little bit more unregulated, a little bit more free-spirited, we'll say. And he, if I'm not mistaken, didn't really want to catch with Buster Posey when they were first both together on the Giants. And Tim Lincecum had been there a couple years. He was a big leader of the team. Buster Posey came up as a rookie and was like, I'm a leader of this team. I think Timmy didn't love that, being a veteran. Of course, they eventually would go on to have a no-hitter together, if I'm not mistaken, in 2016. But I share that to say you're 100% right. Pitchers and catchers, no sexual innuendos intended. Enjoy each other's company. Again, no sexual innuendos intended. And they do favor each other. They work with each other. But when you see a no-hitter, a perfect game, a shutout, I digress and I look off in the distance because it is...
I enjoy your company, though.
I enjoy your company. It's not just the pitcher and the catcher. It's a whole team. I mean, it really is an incredible thing when you see it. Baseball's awesome.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's always like the one defensive play that set it up. I think with Burley, the guy who came in the 9th inning to play defense, and then he made the catch in the outfield. So there's always at least one play that stands out. So
I guess we digress. We should probably get into the football. But next episode, we'll talk we'll go through some no-hitters or some perfect games or something like that. You're a Yankees fan. I'm a Giants fan. You had a perfect game this year.
Yeah, and that guy...
I mean, that's incredible.
And that guy's actually in rehab right now. He's not even pitching.
He's garbage.
He is garbage.
I don't mean to be rude. Like, he's not... He belongs in the MLB. He's a professional pitcher. He's better than I'll ever be. He's a harder worker than I'll ever be. But in terms of, is he a good pitcher in the MLB? The short answer is no, he's really not. But he threw a perfect game.
Yeah.
I mean...
And there'll be some times where, especially with football, I like to do betting, give us some advice. And Germán was someone I would pick against because he was not good this year. Sure. So I'm like, oh, he's going to lose. I'm going to take that. And then out of nowhere,
it was a perfect game.
That's where baseball is fun. Baseball, I love the big beer belly guys, crushing 100%. Home runs. That's why I love baseball.
Myself, 100%.
We should join a softball beer league then or something.
I mean, we could talk about it.
Yeah, he's in rehab right now, so hopefully he gets settled out, figured out. Football coming up.
Like for injury?
No, for alcoholism.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Kind of linking to NFL, I saw Johnny Manziel's got a Netflix thing coming out.
Let's get into it. Yep.
I didn't know about that. I don't think anyone probably knew about it.
I saw it on TMZ.
So I'm excited to watch that. I think it comes out Tuesday. Glad he's doing better. I listened to him do an interview, and he's helping these new athletes in college with NIL deals. So
do you believe him, or is he just trying to get one last rodeo to make a little bit of money? Do you believe him?
I like Johnny Football, so I want to believe him.
I watched it, and mental health and self-harm are very serious, so I don't want to be flippant about it. And I can't help it. I see somebody with all the money in the world, and it's like, are you genuine, or are you just trying to get one last paycheck off this? And I want to believe him, but he fooled around so much, as we saw when he got drafted, and apparently before he got drafted. I believe it. I don't know. I don't know him. But I wish him all the best. And it doesn't matter whether he's serious or not. I wish him all the best. I don't want him to harm himself. I'm a Johnny Football fan as well. I remember his first touchdown in the NFL that he rushed in with the Browns, and he does the little money thing, which some people hated. I thought it was character. I loved it. I loved it.
I'm not in a fantasy league, but I tried to draft him if I could.
I remember my dad at the time, he really wanted the Rams to get Johnny Football. And I don't remember who we took, but we did not take Johnny Football. And
when was he drafted? I wonder when he was drafted.
I believe he was drafted the year before Jared Goff. So that would have been 2016, 2015.
Actually, that kind of moves me into the next category because I remember when golf was coming out, I wanted Carson Wentz because I like the mobile quarterback. And we were just talking about, some of the free agents, and he is one of the free agent quarterbacks. I mean, then big names pop out. I mean, is there, looking at the free agent quarterback list, we got Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. Then you have running back.
Manziel might have been drafted 2014. Sorry, if I'm wrong, please fact check me on it. I'll tell you this. This is a great list. Sammy B, who are you liking on it? Who's your favorite free agent? You're a Rams fan. I'm a Rams fan. Who on this list? Because I see one that stands out to me without a question.
I mean,
who
Dalvin,
would you want?
I think Dalvin Cook for sure. He's the age 27. He's got young. He's young. Tom Brady's on this list. I mean, I would love to have him, but he's retired.
I tell you what, and this is going to kind of give it away. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Who has Matthew Stafford thrown before on this list?
Kenny Galladay.
I would love it if the Rams could sign him. I would love it.
I love it. Well, he was
terrible with the Giants.
He was. So that's
it's terrible.
I think
New York Giants.
Oh my God! There's so many memes about it, but once you point that out, because to me as a Rams fan, they don't have in my opinion, a number 2 receiver.
Can you imagine Cooper Kupp? Other side is Kenny Galladay, and maybe Kenny Galladay's lost it. If you're hearing this, Kenny, I don't think you have. I'm just saying what people are saying. They think he's lost it. I think he can still be a professional receiver in the NFL. I don't need him to catch 1,000 yards. He can be a number 2, a number 3, a number 4. He comes in. Matthew Stafford knows where he's going to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it. I mean, the Rams have... It's going to be Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell because they have to because of how high up they drafted him. They'll probably keep Demarcus Robinson because all the buzz in training camp is he's been crushing it. Number 5, Ben Skoranek. I mean, I would love it. I mean, Kenny Galladay fits in that room. Get him in as the 5 or the 6. Let's go.
Yeah, look at this list. This is the offensive list. Noah Fant. He was pretty good in Denver, and I know he didn't
went to Seattle.
Yeah,
right?
Literally played 1 year. I think he should. I don't know who has a tight end need, but he was good.
I'm surprised he's a free agent because he was part of the, if I'm not mistaken, the Russell Wilson trade out of Denver. So
1 year then with Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this list.
Saffold, former Ram, Roger Saffold.
Yeah, he was with Buffalo. Yeah,
he was in the Super Bowl with the Rams against New England.
Teddy Two Gloves. I love that nickname.
I do too. Kareem Hunt, if it weren't for, I think his, we'll call him transgressions, I guess, I'm pretty sure he's signed.
There's a handful of running backs. Zeke, Cook, Fournette. So
yeah, but I would say Cook is surprising, but I would say Ezekiel Elliott and Leonard Fournette. I'm not saying they're not going to have great games, but would you agree when I say their best years are probably behind him as far as being that dude?
I say that about Julio Jones, is also a free agent. So, yeah, I feel like a lot of these players past their prime.
But I would say this about Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette. Dalvin Cook, it amazes me he's not signed, but he's probably taking his time. Come the postseason, come late in the season when there's injuries, these guys can get picked up by teams. They can get hot. Sony Michel did it for the Rams when they went on to win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. He stepped up those last few weeks, got a few 100-yard games.
He did step up,
These things happen. I mean, C.J. Anderson did it when Todd Gurley got hurt on their run to the Super Bowl the first time. So some of these dudes are going to be relevant this year. We don't know which ones. Obviously, if you're a betting man, you'd say Dalvin Cook out of that list, I would think. Mm-hmm. But those are all big-name running backs.
The running back market's interesting because you have
they're washed up and Taylor, they're not washed up at the same time. I can't explain it.
Because you have Taylor with Indy. He's like number 1 overall last year for fantasy. This year, it's like, what's going on with him? So it's crazy.
I said that if the Colts beat the Rams when we did our predictions for the Rams season, that Colts could beat the Rams if Jonathan Taylor ran wild. And I didn't know that 2 days, I think it was the next day, we're reading he wants a trade. He wants out. I mean...
That's the funny thing. We recorded wins, losses, Rams lineup or schedule all before.
I think it was that day.
Yeah.
Because we texted about it that day or the next day, and it's like Jonathan Taylor wants out of Indianapolis, which is wow.
I just wanted to point out another free agency receiver.
I'd pay Jonathan Taylor, by the way.
Yeah,
he's worth it.
Jarvis Landry, Juice. I kind of like him. He'd be another one I'd pick up.
I can't believe he's a free agent just because he's a professional wide receiver. I think he belongs in the NFL. I mean, I don't.
Only 1 year older than Kenny Galladay, so.
I would guess there's a part of it to the business where these guys have had contracts. They're taking their time. They want to win a ring. So why sign for a team a little bit prematurely? What's the difference between, the money is substantial to us, But when we're talking these guys, what's the difference between $500,000 or $1 million when I can wait a little bit and maybe sign for a real contender and lose a little bit of money, but still get paid pretty well?
Yeah, I haven't been reading up, seeing if these guys have been going anywhere. I'm not sure what Jarvis is looking for, but I think he still got it.
You know where Jarvis Landry, I think, could be great?
Baltimore. Him and Odell got to stay together.
I love that. Kansas City Chiefs. I think he could be an even better Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously, they must know something I don't because they signed Juju last year and they have not signed Jarvis yet. But I think he could be an even better Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know why Jarvis isn't signed.
Yeah, Chiefs are interesting. They have just fast guys. They know what they're doing.
They've got the best quarterback in the NFL.
They do.
I'll say it until it's not true anymore.
We're just talking about that. It just became official, I think, a couple days ago. Kamara suspension, at least 3 games.
Which is light, right?
It is. Do you think the Saints? I don't even know if the Saints have a backup. Do they think they pick up someone for those 3 games?
No, I believe they have, and I can't remember their names either. But I had them on fantasy teams because I've had Alvin Kamara in fantasy. I've actually had him in my keeper league for a long time. I traded him last year because I had so many running backs. But Alvin Kamara, and I knew the suspension was coming. But Alvin Kamara is an incredible football player. They did sign Jamal Williams. That's the backup. I know they have some other guys, so they're just going to rock Jamal Williams. In fact, they probably offered Jamal Williams a bit more than Detroit, knowing that they would need somebody to... wow. So if you play fantasy football, get Jamal Williams for those first 3 weeks. Do it. Do yourself a favor. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but do yourself a favor. Grab Jamal Williams. I know they have some young bucks that they're coaching up, but I would almost guarantee... why not run Jamal Williams into the ground those first 3 games? And then you can bring back in Alvin Kamara, and then you can sub in the young bucks. Yeah, and then going back to Sonny Michel, did you see he retired? We talked about that last week.
So he played with Stenson Benson at Georgia.
This is great.
Played with him 1 year.
Yep.
Got drafted, played for 4 teams, 2 Super Bowls.
Beat the Rams in a Super Bowl, helped the Rams win a Super Bowl.
Then he's with Stenson Benson right now in spring training, or what do you guys call it? What does football call it?
Training camp?
Training camp. I'm not thinking baseball. Spring. Okay. And then he retires. And it's Stenson Bennett's first year, so it's funny.
Hilarious.
They played together, and he was in the year. I don't know. It's just crazy. But
I mean, it is a sports fun fact, and I'm glad you bring it up. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a really cool stat.
So with the season coming up, a lot of rule changes. I think there was a change with the helmet, which allowed teams to come up with new uniforms and different alternatives, like white helmets and all that. So I asked you, of all the teams with these new uniforms, do you have a favorite or least favorite? What do you think?
I'm going to start off with the rumor I told you. I told you this over the phone. There's a rumor that I read on the internet, and I don't know the source. I don't know that it's true. The Rams might have a black uniform that they are saving for next year or the year after, and I find the allure of that very exciting. The Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles black uniform, I don't know how familiar you are with it.
Yeah.
It is a sexy uniform, and I don't mean to get all mature on you all, but this is a really hot uniform. The black unis, I would love it.
Soundboard. Ooh.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, that'd be hilarious. Can you imagine black jersey, white pants, or all black with like a black helmet with the yellow horns?
I thought Black Mamba. My first thought, L.A. Black Mamba. That's what came to my mind when you said black. So
my favorite Rams uniform. It's probably the one. It's similar to the one that they actually wore in 2018 when they lose the Super Bowl to New England. I keep rubbing my leg. I gotta stop. They keep doing. Okay. It's the one they wore in the Super Bowl.
Pee-wee Herman over here.
Goodness gracious! I'm trying to make this a kid-friendly show. I think we're both trying to, and here we are being arrogant, cocky, and filthy. All right, I'll tell you this much. Rams. That's right. I did slide it in. I knew what I was doing when I said it. You picked right up on it. The Rams uniform when they lost to New England in the Super Bowl, that type of yellow and blue, that's kind of the color scheme that I like. That's that classic look where it's the old L.A. Coliseum. It's like if you watch those clips on the internet, you're like, this isn't real football. Because when you watch clips from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, games look so different than they do now, just as far as how they're filmed, how they're shot, the commentary. It's really incredible. That being said, yeah, the classic blue, the classic yellow. I think if I say classic Rams blue, classic Rams yellow, everybody out there knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and Stafford hasn't worn that yet, and that's one of my favorites too, the blue and yellow. And going back to the old school videos, you see like the fullback and halfback only a couple yards behind, hand in the dirt. So yeah, football's constantly changing.
I love that hand in the
and then just hand off. So, I mean, that's just a rumor. So is that your favorite? It's a rumor. You don't have a favorite one of all these new ones coming
I would
out?
say the classic Rams yellow, classic Rams blue.
No, I'm saying
whatever
they're
that
not doing
means.
that. I'm saying like ones that are new, like coming out, like any changes.
Only Rams or any jerseys?
No, I guess the new jerseys for the season. I'll go first, I guess.
Please.
I'm loving the Seattle came out with the new one.
Okay.
I mean, most of these new ones are actually just throwbacks, like the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, like, oh, what's different? You even notice it. I think the difference was they did a yellow stripe around the numbers. Seattle's doing like the '90s throwback. It's a gray helmet, blue. I love it.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is like teams unveiled new things they're wearing this year, or like, a lot of them are throwbacks. Tampa Bay doing the creamsicles aren't bad.
No, that's. I'll say this: assuming we keep this podcast going, which we both hope that we do, come the regular season when we're actually seeing these jerseys on the turf, on the grass, I'll bet I'll have more of an opinion on it. Because I know what you're talking about. I've seen the screen grabs. I've seen the shots. I've seen some players model them. But until you see them in action, same thing with baseball uniforms, in my opinion. Until you see them in action, we just don't know.
Yeah, I don't like any of the City Connects that
I do.
NBA baseball does.
The Giants have a winning record with them, so I like the City Connects.
Yeah.
I like the Padres City Connects with all the flamboyant colors. I like that.
Yeah, I think my favorite would be Padres in Colorado. Boston, I don't like because the colors.
Sure.
But I think they're undefeated this year wearing it, so they have a winning record.
It's fun,
It's funny.
and you wonder if it's rigged because it was the same thing for the Giants when they broke out the City Connect, which maybe they're doing it to sell jerseys. I don't know. I mean, to your point, do I like them more than the classic jerseys? I wouldn't say that. Same thing with football. Do I love these new uniforms as much as I love the classics? I don't know if I'd say that, but I'm open to them.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a list here. I think Arizona came out first. That was way back in April, so they did it early. Titans are doing the Houston Oilers throwback, which I think they shouldn't do. Leave that alone. Houston's on a bye.
Let me get this Kyler Murray quote. All right, this is Pro Football Network. I love this.
If you can't...
Kyler Murray reportedly was excited about the jersey change, and they look like good jerseys. They look really clean. I like them. If you can't look good in these, you can't look good. That's all I'm saying. Quote Kyler Murray. I tell you what, this dude has all the talent in the world. He ain't it.
He ain't it.
I don't know.
That sounds like a Jameis Winston quote.
Yeah, it's so funny. If you know what, and I hate to, because imagine if Kyler Murray had a coach like Sean McVay. He had Cliff Kingsbury. That was cute. But imagine if Kyler, it's not that Kyler Murray's right. I don't think Kyler Murray's a bad player by any stretch. He's a good player. I just don't think he's going to find success in Arizona, and that's not Kyler Murray's fault. That's the Arizona Cardinals' lack of success.
What I was trying to say is that I know people. My dad,
I'll be
for
crying
one,
when they beat the Rams this year.
My dad's a Houston Oilers fan, and what he always says is they're on a bye this week. They're always on a bye, so
Hilarious.
I don't like that the Titans are wearing those throwbacks. Leave them alone. Retire them. I mean, the creamsicles...
I like the throwbacks.
Yeah, I like the creamsicles of Tampa, but I don't know if they're going to look good on the field.
It looks like a Texas A&M jersey, which is where Mike Evans played with Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Football. Woo! So, yeah, and then I don't like this one. The Detroit Lions
like
new helmet.
I like that, too.
I don't like that. That's silly looking.
Oh,
what
you
are
don't like
doing?
that?
No.
I like that.
I mean, I don't even think they're changing a jersey. It's just a new helmet.
Did you see they asked, I think it was Pardon My Take or Barstool Sports, I apologize because I'm not totally well-versed. They asked Jared Goff, do you want to apologize to anybody? And he's like for the championship game against the Saints. And he's like, apologize to who? And they're like, Saints fans. And he's like, no. God, no. He's like, no. He's like, we had penalties that the refs didn't call. There are penalties that were called. It went both ways. Saints started with the ball in overtime. Greg Zerloin kicked a 60-yard field goal. It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, I don't know if you should check it out when you get home. I mean, it was righteous. Yeah.
I guess I'll finish that section with saying my least favorite, and where we live, we're pretty close to Pittsburgh and Cleveland. But I'm sorry, Cleveland. I hate those whiteouts. I just don't like the white helmets.
Yeah, it's cute. I think that the whiteout and the blackout thing belongs more in high school sports or college sports. I feel like it's just big time marketing, and I don't think you need to market the NFL more than you already do. I don't think you need gimmicks like a whiteout and a blackout. Like, you don't need to do that.
I think if black is already your color, like I think the Steelers blackout's pretty cool, but
the terrible towel. I mean, if your team does it, I mean, same thing with Seventh Nation Army with like the Baltimore Ravens. They've been doing that song forever. But now all the teams are like, it's like, come on. Not every team needs to do the white stripes. Like, the Ravens have been doing it first. Let them keep it. But I guess people just like to have fun. I'm going to bring back up Jared Goff. I love him in the interview that I'm telling you about. Check it out. He looks calm, cool, and collected. I'm buying in. I don't think the Rams will regret trading Jared Goff because they won the Super Bowl. But in the long term,
Yeah.
I like Jared Goff more than Matthew Stafford. I mean, for where we're going, like in the next 5 years, who's going to be in the NFL? I think Jared Goff is still going to be alive and kicking, and Matthew Stafford's going to be retired. I'm not saying I hate the trade. That's crazy talk. We won a Super Bowl. As a Rams fan, the Rams won a Super Bowl, but I like Jared Goff, man. I do.
I did too. Because he was winning games.
Yeah.
You know,
they had nobody.
Yeah.
Until Jared Goff.
I think Sean McVay made the difference. Honestly.
Yeah.
So, I think a winning season every year except for the past season. So.
And I would hope Sean McVay would say, and Jared Goff made a difference for me. I mean, he couldn't have just won those games with just anybody.
Yeah.
We saw that last year. They're rolling around with John Wolford and Bryce Perkins, and it was cute. They had no offensive line. But still, I mean, Jared Goff's a great quarterback, I think.
Yeah,
he belongs in the NFL. He's a starter.
I think they kind of left on bad terms. I think his last season, remember, playoffs, they started Wolford, when it's like Goff could have played. And I think Wolford got hurt and he came in, so,
So Wolford gets them into the playoffs. They play Seattle that first game in the postseason. I believe it was the postseason, and Wolford gets hurt, and Jared Goff does come in with his busted pinky. And he looked hurt. He didn't look great. I think it was as much of a confidence thing as anything. He probably was tired of McVay's shtick, and McVay was tired of Goff's shtick. I think they just needed a change of scenery.
I think it worked out for both because Detroit's looking pretty good this year.
It does.
And last year looked good, so I think it worked out. I love Dan Campbell.
Me too.
Breaking knees, whatever he's doing.
Biting off kneecaps.
Biting off kneecaps.
Yep.
So I think that conversation started by what I'm looking forward to this season. Another thing I'm looking forward to, I honestly love the Nickelodeon broadcasting of NFL, and they're doing the Super Bowl this year. I'm probably going to watch the Super Bowl on Nickelodeon this year. So,
I may have said this last time. I got to interview a couple Nickelodeon stars, a couple Nickelodeon kids last year because the Rams Broncos broadcast, and I write for the Turf Show Times. They let me interview a couple Nickelodeons. Like I literally interviewed these Nickelodeon actors. It was so cool. I would love to be able to do something like that again. I
love that Nickelodeon broadcast. Did you watch it, I presume?
It was really cool.
I mean, obviously, I love the game that was on.
Yep.
Russ was not cooking, and even Patrick Starr was like, he didn't want to cook that.
It was the most fun that I think my mom and I, who try to watch the games together when we can, and my girlfriend was with us too, I think it was the most fun the three of us had watching a football game. The Raiders game ended up being the most fun when they beat the Raiders, but that game was so stressful, like the Rams won in the closing seconds. The Broncos game was fun because the Rams took control early, often, and the whole game. It was just fun to watch.
So I'm excited about that. Is there anything you're excited for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to see this Rams offensive line. I think that's cliche, and I think every Rams fan will say that. The other thing that I'm really excited about is just football. I just can't wait to have it back. Fantasy football, real football. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for football. I think our next episode, we're going to talk about, do a little mock draft. We're nearing 30 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to try to do like a little fun fact I found out. And hopefully you don't know this one. Did you know that the Cincinnati Reds are grandfathered in, and they always start their season at home?
Yes, I did know that because my buddy Bob told me that. Name drop, my buddy Bob. I did, yes.
Shout out, Bob.
Yep, I did know that. Would I, if somebody were to come up to me and offer me $100,000, would I have said it off the top of my head? Probably not, but you're asking if I knew that. I do know that, but I probably don't always think of it.
I got to do better next time, so.
No, you shouldn't.
That's all right. Well, this is a fun episode here.
I went off the rails this episode a little bit. You're reeling it in.
It's perfect. We're trying to aim for around 30 minutes, so I think we're good to go. Let's see any closing remarks. You did mention Turf Show Time, so follow him.
Check us out.
I know he's Danny Stone. Yep. And I'm Sammy B. This was Gem City Sports.
Gem City Sports. Nailed it.